Mashakasav liyeshu Eretz HaKodesh tibanav is the kingdom hidden minu amin. There's a letter that Alter Rebbe wrote to the Yidden living in Eretz Yisrael. Lenachamam, to console them, bekiflayim letushia, with a double consolation. Aptiras on the Estalkos of Aravagona Mafur Samishal Lakim Kaddish. Neire Yoir Amud Hayamini Patash HaChazak. Moreinu Arabana Mendel Nishmas Eben. The Mendel HaRadoker was the third of the Alter Rebbe's three Rebbes. Alter Rebbe had three Rebbes. His first Rebbe was the Viditcher Magid. The Heilige Magid was in Stalek. He was Makabel, his son, the Bavram, the Malach, as his Rebbe. And there's a Kshavis Kashas that's printed and so forth. And after the Stalkos of Ram the Malach, the Alter was Makabel the Mendel HaRadoker as the Rebbe, who moved to Eretz Yisrael. And Alter Rebbe used to correspond with him in brief. And the Mendel would give him a Heitzes Neiroid. The Alter Rebbe writes in the Agdama of Tanya that some of the Heitzes that he put into the Sefer Tanya Kadisha, he got Ksas mehen in Mozen Chakimin beigres me'abeseinu shebe'eretz HaKodesh b'tiborim b'kekedem hedim menu amad. This he meant the Mendel HaRadoker and the Bavram Kalaske. So the Mendel was his Rebbe. So when the Alter Rebbe was consoling Talmidim Chasidim, it was for him also a consolation. The only thing that's a very obvious ha'ara, and that is that we know as a matter of fact that this letter was not written to the Yeshua Eretz HaKodesh, it was written to the Yeshua Chutz Laretz. Why? Because this letter is much, much longer than what's printed here. You take it out to Rebbe's English Kodesh, you'll see the whole letter, and it's about tzedakah. And the gist of the letter is that they should continue to support Reb Moshe. The Mendel HaRadoker had a son, Reb Moshe. And the Chassidim was saying they don't want to support him anymore. And the Rebbe said you have to continue supporting him, and Azay Vaidin. So it was not, here it says, L'yesh Eretz HaKodesh. The Rebbe writes that the Torah is the Muchach, because it's written to Yeshua Chutzpah. And then the Rebbe writes that for sure the Alter Rebbe also wrote a letter of Nichumin to the Yid in Eretz Yisrael, and maybe the Nusach of the Nichum was the same in the both letters. You understand? It's the only letter in Tanya that comes with a biur. On the next page you have a biur. My beloved brothers and friends, like myself, and so forth. The Eibusha should be upon them, and they should live. A life that's till forever. And their children with them. Zera emes, true seed. They're blessed from the Eibusha, are they from now and forever. After greeting them, telling them hello. As is worthy of people who love the Eibusha's name. I'm coming to speak on the heart of those who are crushed, that are sighing, and that are in a lot of pain. To console them, with a double consolation, the tushia, which also has a healing, an effect of salvation. Says Alter Rebbe, I want to say a michtav nichumen, but the michtav nichumen is a deep drush in Teire about tzaddikim. And the stalkers of tzaddikim, and the nekud of this, the Eretz HaKodesh, and the beard is the idea that tzaddikim don't really leave. And here goes the Alter Rebbe's divrei nechama. That my ears heard and understood. And in the next letter he says that he heard it from his rabbeim. When a person passes away, what's the lashon for a person passing away? What does it mean? He has left the life of all the living. But the literal translation of the words is he left life for all living things. That's the taich. And the Rebbe, in one of those classic Ge'onisha Ha'aris lists, like 15 or 20 places, the whole Teresh of Alpeh, where you have, it's a Ge'onisha Ha'ara, it's a Bekiyas Nifla. Shurim Sefer Tanya, look, every place you have in Teresh of Alpeh, a lashon similar to this, that when a person dies, it says that he left life for the living. Not that he departed, but fakat ibigalah. It's a bekiyas atzuma. A whole bunch of like 15 different sources with different nischais, different lashenis. A person dies, he goes away, but he left life for all the living. And of course, the teretz is when a person leaves, he leaves himself behind. Shavak chaim, he left from his life l'chol chai for all the living. That's the nekud of this Eretz HaKodesh. Ki tzaddik, because the tzaddik, his life is b'emunah yechi. He lives from emunah. And his life is Yiras Hashem for life. And with a fire which is connected to coal, like flaming love, he also gets it life. So notice Alter Rebbe uses the word chayis by emunah, b'emunah yichya. By Yireh he says lechayim, and by Ayava he says Mechayim. The bottom line is that the life of a tzaddik, whether it's Yichya or Lechayim or Mechayim, is Emunah Yir and Av. That's his life. And what does he live for? Lakeil Bohem, to include in this Emunah, like the word is Skalas, and this Yir and this Ava, Chaye Ruche v'Nishmasei, the whole life of his Ruach and his Neshama. Tol Yemei Cheldi, all the days of his life. And Shay. His life is not a Gashmizdika life, his life is only Emunah Yir and Av. Therefore, he when the Eibishter lifts up his ruach and his neshama, love Yasef, and he collects it to himself. The tzaddik goes up higher and higher. His neshama goes higher and higher. Adrum hamaylis, until the highest madregas. And you'll see in the next Igeres HaKedesh, this is very hard to understand. The Lashon is very shver. The beard is much clearer. The Rebbe's beard gets to verstehen. So you think he's gone. Zak the Teira Shavak Chaim L'chol Chaim means Shavak Chaye Ruchei. He leaves over the spirit of his Ruach as opposed to his Neshama. Okay, that's the deal. The work that he did before in Yidden in this world. Ula Tzaddik, which was of course the function of a Tzaddik. And what is the function of a Tzaddik? L'chaim, to have real life. And what is real life? L'kol Chaim. To include, I don't know if l'kol chai means to all living things. I think it also means lakel, to include. But let's say l'kol chai, to all living things. He nefesh kol chai, it's the souls of all living things that were attached to his soul. B'chev le'aveses, with chains that are thick of ahava rabba, with an infinite love. V'ava selam, and a worldly love. Bal timid le'netzach, should never be cut off. So all the people who loved him and were makusher to him, during his lifetime, and the Rebbe, the Tzaddik, the Nasi Yisrael did Ruach Pulasei in them during his physical lifetime. So says Alter Rebbe as follows: Ashamiya Ish. Any person Hachafetz Chaim who wants life, or Dafka by the Shem to become attached to Meibishter, Chaim who was also living Ba'avedasei through his Aveda, Ba'avedasei Tidbak Nafshe. In his Aveda, his soul becomes attached, and his soul becomes tied up, in the bundle, in the binding of life, in the Eibishter, in the life of the spirit of our nostrils, that we said, in his shadow, we will live, amongst the nations. And specifically the Madrega of Ruach Asher Shavak Lana, which he left over for us. B'chol echad ve'echad, in each one, kifi bechinas his kashrusei, according to the degree of his attachedness to the tzaddik, be'emes, ve'avasei, and his love for the tzaddik, avasei emes atheira, true and a pure love, mikerev ish v'leiv amek, from the inside and the deepest depths of a person. Kikamayim upon a v'geimer, when you love the tzaddik loves you back. And of course, v'ruach aisi ruach v'amshech ruach, when you give yourself to the tzaddik, you mamshech back a ruach from the tzaddik, and the ruach yemedet b'kabeinu mamish, his ruach continues to be within us, and through the ruach of the tzaddik, which has not departed, there's an inyan of shavach chaim v'chokay. So the point is, when the tzaddik was alive, the tzaddik did his job, and all the yidden to whom he was connected through his ruach, they were makusha to the tzaddik. Now that the tzaddik has departed, the ruach of these Yiddish neshamas remain tied to the ruach of the neshama of the tzaddik, which is inside of us, and through him we still have a connection to this tzaddik. Kibereise, when the tzaddik sees that Yolad of his children, Ma'aseh Yod of his handiwork, Bekirbe, inside of himself, Yakdish Shmei Yizbarach, that they're sanctifying the Eibishter's name. Asher, that, when is Yiskadol v'Yiskadish? When is the Eibishter's name made great and holy? Kasher Neilach b'derech Yeshara Asher, we go on the straight path which he showed us, Midracha from his ways, v'neacham we walk by Chayzef, and his paths, Netzach Selavod, forever and ever. You understand that is that every person who was connected to the tzaddik during his lifetime, Shavak Chaim L'chol Chai, leaves over some of his chayis, and the madrega that he keeps on focusing on is Ruach, as you'll see in the Biyah.